we have this moment, right, where we're ready to be independent, be on our own, do things on our own, think on our own, right? But not understanding that the codependency is not just within our finances, it's not just within our relationships. Codependency shows up in our habits and in our routines, right? A lot of times when we are trying to release codependency, it's so interesting because I didn't realize this myself, where I always associated codependency as with another person, like a relationship or with an environment. And the more that I started to ground myself in my spiritual foundation, and the more that I started to release what no longer serves me, I realized codependency shows up in habits, and it shows up in routines, and it shows up the way that you like the familiarity of how you live your life. Like, it can be codependent. And it's so interesting. A lot of you guys may be struggling to shift or change or to transform into your highest truth. And in essence, you're wondering, why is this so difficult? Like, I'm letting go of the people I need to let go of. I am making a conscious effort to move out of the environments that has kept me stagnant, kept me hindered, right? Like, this is the conversation you're saying to yourself. And you're like, why am I still having a hard time to transform? Why am I still having a hard time to change? Why is it still hard for me to shift into my highest self? And that's because you are also codependent to different routines and different habits that subconsciously you have been attached to for so long that you don't really consider it being codependent. You consider it just your normalcy, the way that you do things. And this is where the actual ultimate shift in your mindset changes, right? Inner transformation is not just with your body, it's not just with your spirit, but it's also with your mind as well. And a lot of times, that's like the last thing that actually shifts and transforms for us, right? Granted, we try to get on the right diets and we try to do the exercise and we're walking and you know what we do, right? And then we also get into our prayer, we journal, right? We do devotion, we start to meditate, get into nature, like you know what we do, okay? We know the physical actions to do with our body and our spirit, but our mind is different. Our mind is more challenging. It's like Teflon. It's tough. Okay, it's tough to shift. It's tough to change your mindset. And a lot of times when we are struggling with codependency, we see the codependent ties to people, places, okay, and even sometimes things, but we don't see it with emotions. A lot of us are codependent with a lot of emotions, for sure, because of safety. It provides us safe and comfort, right? A lot of us are codependent in habits, okay, the way that we do things, the habitual movements of our day to day. We're codependent with that. A lot of us are codependent with our routines, okay? We do the same thing every single day, and it provides us safety, it provides us comfort, right? And so when we talk about going with the flow, oh, I gotta sneeze, y'all. So if it come, it come. Ugh. When we talk about going with the flow, that's releasing that codependency of your day. That's what going with the flow means, right? You're releasing the codependency of having to talk to this person at the same time every single day, having to do the same routine every single day. Like, you just flow with how the day is moving and not hyper focusing on how you do it, when you do it, the time you do it, that aspect. Listen, this is very challenging for high performers. Okay, this is very hard. High performers is allergic to going with the flow. Okay, and this is why Next Level Wellness Club is there, because it helps us to shift from burnout to balance. Balance provides flow. Okay, You create balance, and it's a level of flowing mind, body, and spirit where you're allowing your inner being to become aligned, right? When you're in burnout energy, it's because you have this habitual way of doing things day in and day out, and you don't give yourself time to rest. You don't give yourself time to breathe. You don't still give yourself time to relax because you're on this schedule, you're on this routine, you're on this habit. So codependency is very prominent in high performers, and this is why Next Level Wellness Club was created, was because it's to provide the awareness as well, because you don't know until you have divine intervention. You don't think that you're codependent on your routines. You think you're structured. Okay, you think you are structured, and you think you are professional. You are organized. You look at it in a positive light, not understanding it's hindering you from your higher self. It's keeping you in a rut. It's keeping you stagnant. And you're thinking to yourself, no, I'm just organized. I'm just together. I'm just structured, right? I have a place for everything and everything in its place type situation. And it's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I don't want the OCD people to be in my comments, be like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being structured. There's nothing wrong with being organized. But when it starts to restrict you and hinder you from elevating into your next level, for you operating your highest truth, then that's when it becomes an issue. That's when it becomes a problem. And that's when it's no longer structure, but now it's codependency. Okay. You're now dependent and tied to a way of doing things in your day to day. And it keeps you in a lock, like a ball and chain situation. I don't know if y'all heard this. Y'all heard the ball and chain situation when it came to marriage. Okay, this is what it does with you living your life, because you're so codependent on your routines, your habits, your ways, your methods, your structures. Okay, you're so tied to that you don't flow and see what life can really provide you or show you in a way where it can uplift you into your next level, into your highest truth. And granted, let's be fair, let's be honest, this is not an easy thing to shift. It's not, because a lot of us were raised in chaotic families. We were raised in dysfunction. And so when we became adults and we started to develop our lives for ourselves, we developed a household for ourselves. We made a conscious effort to not do what we were raised in. And so we develop routines, and we develop structure, and we develop ways that provides organization within our minds, our bodies, our spirits, but within our homes, with our environments. And so it puts us in a very stickler energy where, but then how can you expand when you're stuck in this, is the question you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself, how can I reach who I desire to become if I'm unable to release who I am at this moment? Okay. I want to just support you and reassure you and encourage you in this moment that it's not a bad thing that you're choosing structure, organization, routine. All right. That's not a bad thing. That taught you discipline. Okay. But now it's time to shift that discipline into transformation, into change, into elevation and evolving, right? The discipline helped you keep you at this particular level. But a lot of you guys are wanting to take your life to the next step, take your life to the next level, take your life to the next stage, but you're still stuck at this level. And that's because the habits, the routines, the structure, the organization has kept you here. It kept you content. It kept you disciplined. Okay. But evolving is shifting, it's changing. And we talk about evolving, we talk about growing, we talk about elevating, but yet we forget what that really requires. And that requires us to flow with the change, to flow with the dynamic. Granted, once you reach your next level, you can create another routine, another structure, another organization, like another organizing method. Like you can do that, okay? But don't get so tied to it where it restricts you from elevating. It restricts you from evolving in your higher self. And that's what this particular message is for. It's you're allowing it, you're allowing the habits, the routines, the structure, the discipline, you're allowing it to dictate if you grow or not. And it's keeping you in a limited space. Okay. And again, this can show up personally, professionally, or spiritually. And if you're wanting to really dive deep into this and really to gain some more awareness in order to implement the action to rise in alignment, then okay, Next Level Wellness Club is here for you. Definitely visit Next Level Wellness Club, and we do divine intervention audio sessions. And this is where the shift takes place, is when you allow Heavenly Father to come in and shake things up for you. That's divine intervention. When you allow Heavenly Father to come in, okay, and I love divine intervention, baby, because at first it was scary. Divine intervention used to be very, very scary. It used to be very, very triggering, right? Because it threw me off of what I have created as my normalcy and what I created as my comfort. And Heavenly Father was like, no, it's time. It is time. Okay, Lion King fans, it is time. And we don't be wanting it to be time because we have developed such a beautiful and safe space in our routines and in our habits. And then he's like, okay, it's time for a change. It's time for a shift. It's time for me to elevate you because you have mastered this stage. And this is what self-mastery actually looks like in real time. Okay. You have mastered this level of your life right now, this chapter, this season. Now it's time for me to shake things up and take you into another foreign space for you to adapt, for you to grow, to you to understand, for you to learn. And then you can start to master that level, right? But it's it's the core of it is flowing through each stage of life. You can't stay stuck. And a lot of you guys are comfortable in staying stuck. Okay. That's how you know it's codependency. When you're comfortable at staying stuck, you're codependent on what you have built, what you have created, what you have formulated. Okay? You're codependent on that. And this particular message is about the shift of releasing codependency in every aspect of your life. Okay? I pray this provided some clarity, some understanding, y'all, some guidance, but also some awareness. Right? It's like it kind of shines lights on the little bitty things that you are wondering why you're doing certain things to change and transform. You're doing certain things to see a shift in your life, but in reality, you're not seeing anything. You feel stuck. This is why. Okay? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And until next time.